o'clock, June 6th, Oconee County Council. Public comment session to start. We only have Sheriff Mike Crenshaw signed up.
Good evening. I'll be brief. Just wanted to invite you this coming Friday, if you're available, at 2 o'clock. We'll be graduating about 35 or so young men, boys in middle school from our leadership camp. Got kicked off Monday. That will be 2 o'clock this Friday. If any members of the public would like to come, they're invited as well.
Where?
At the Law Enforcement Center, be at the Sheriff's Office upstairs in their training room upstairs. Rick Martin, your county folks at work, we carried them out there, or our staff did yesterday, to the rock crusher. I think they had a great time. Got to see some rock getting dynamited. I think the other folks from the road department were there as well. So, that will, from the feedback I got, that went over very well. So, just wanted to extend the invitation if you're available. Be glad to have you come over and speak with these boys on Friday. Thanks.
You. Any council member comments?
Yeah, Sheriff Crenshaw, thank you for all your work and the officers' work in that. It's an amazing group that I've seen going through with that, and I just appreciate all that y'all are doing to, help those kids and be an example to those kids. And oftentimes they don't have an example besides their teachers and, yourself. Really appreciate what y'all do.
Any other comments? I have one. I would like to publicly thank our auditor, Christy Hubbard, for creating online capabilities so that we can now register our vehicles, our new vehicles, online. I had been whining to her about that for a long time, and she came through for me. So thank you for that. And there are a few other online capabilities that were for that department that weren't available before. So we appreciate moving forward with technology. Anybody else want to say anything? No? Okay, so no further comments, then please join me for a moment of silence. Thank you. David Root.
Okay. Pray with me if you like. Father, I just want to thank you for this day that you've made, created, and you hold together. Help us to rejoice. And add in it to be appreciative. Air that we breathe, lungs we have to breathe it, all the blessings you give. Be faithful. I hope that we are faithful in return. Remember to love you foremost and our neighbor. Along those lines, thank you for public service that is done here for individuals like Mr. Brock, who have given so much of their time to make the community a better place. That you just instill in all of us that servant's heart. We give at our own expense. We count others more significant than ourselves. Tonight, this will be your meeting. You've got a lot of work to do, and I pray that you help us to get through it in a smooth and orderly fashion. In your name.
Thank you. Mr. Jerry Barnett, would you like to lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Remind everybody that tomorrow is Normandy Day.
Thank you.
Tomorrow's sacrifice day.
Approval of the minutes, May 16th.
Make a motion. Second.
We do have a amendment in those meetings to express the lawful shooting ranges in there. That is a amendment.
someone can just make a motion to amend the minutes to read under ordinance that was 2016-20, as opposed to unlawful game hunting or unlawful operation of a shooting range, being noted in section 1235 that it would be the lawful operation.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on this? All in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Aye. So we can now approve the minutes as amended. I need a motion.
Motion to approve.
No, we've already.
No, we got,
We have one?
You had a motion.
okay.
But we didn't have a second.
Didn't have a second.
Didn't have a second.
Really close.
You're happy.
You need a second?
I'll
He's
second
happy.
it.
All right.
Okay, are we good to go? Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, given the length of our agenda for tonight, do we need a motion to skip over the administrator report and just deal with each issue as they come along, and he can answer questions at that time?
Madam Chair, I have no report this evening.
Okay, you have no report this evening. Very good, thank you. Okay, so moving on, we do have a proclamation today in honor of Mr. Robert O. Brock. Whereas Mr. Brock was recommended for appointment to the Oconee County Election Commission by the Honorable Herbert D. Morgan, South Carolina Senator, District 1, in September 1980. Whereas Mr. Brock was appointed to the Oconee County Election Commission by the Honorable Richard W. Riley, Governor of South Carolina, in October 1980. Whereas Mr. Brock was recommended and appointed to the Oconee County Election Commission continuously with each term until 1998. Whereas the Voter Registration Board and the Oconee County Election Commission were combined into one agency in 1998. Whereas Mr. Brock served continuously on the now combined Board of Voter Registration and Elections for Oconee County as the board chairman, providing vital knowledge, expertise, and leadership for the election process in Oconee County. Whereas Mr. Brock is one of the longest-serving appointees to have served on a voter registration or election board in the history of the state of South Carolina. Whereas Mr. Brock's final recommendation by the Honorable Thomas Alexander, South Carolina Senator, District 1, and final reappointment to the board by the Honorable Nikki Haley, Governor of South Carolina, came in October 2014. Whereas Mr. Brock retired from the Oconee County Board of Voter Registration and Elections in March 2017 after 36.5 years of continuous service. Therefore, Oconee County Council wishes to acknowledge Mr. Robert O. Brock for his accomplishments, dedication, and service to Oconee County.
Mr. Brock, if you don't mind coming forward. On behalf of Oconee County, Oconee County Council, we would like to present to you a certified copy of the proclamation that was approved in your honor this evening. We are very proud of you and the work you've done here, and we thank you for the years and years of service. I know that board depended on your guidance for years, and your experience and knowledge and compassion and willingness to serve has benefited this county beyond belief. So we are so grateful for you and thankful for the time you submitted. And I know Oconee County Council echoes that with their dearest heartfelt feelings. So thank you very much. And we wish you the best in your future endeavors, and many of them.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I too would like to join in with the best wishes, and I wish you a very pleasant retirement.
Thank you.
And I can't imagine the number of years you spent here.
I had a half a year also with 911. When they were finishing it up. But then I had 30 years with the school district too. Part of
Wow.
that overlap. With the time on the county. Board of Direction.
Well, thank you very much for your
Thank you.
service.
Bob. With all of you. Come here, I'll shake your hand. All of you are good people and you're doing a good job.
Thank you,
Keep
Bob.
it up.
You remember me driving the school bus
back to the day, about 1963 or 2.
62. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Nice to see you.
Thank you,
Oh,
Mr. Brock.
good to see you.
Good to see you too, sir. Thank you.
We have some people who'd like to get a picture with you, Mr. Brock, if you don't mind.
This one was named after my mother. Hey, Judy. When they mapped out the bus routes, he picked me up, him and never who it was, and they said, "We're gonna drive your bus route. How many people do you get on here?" I said, "I got 3 gets on here." And we was in their car, and I was in the back seat, and they was mapping it out. And he reminded me of that. I said, "You remember when?"
Motion to approve.
I said, "I didn't realize that
Do I-
was you." He
should
said,
I-
"Yeah, I was the one there that was driving the car when y'all was mapping it out."
Do you need a motion to approve that proclamation?
You get the motion?
We should call for it.
Thank you.
Okay, I do need a motion to approve this proclamation.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. No public hearings today, no third readings today. Second reading, ordinance 2017-13, an ordinance granting certain easement rights to Duke Energy Carolinas LLC for the purpose of locating and maintaining electric and/or communication facilities on county-owned property and so forth.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Ordinance 2017-01, an ordinance to establish the budget for Oconee County and to provide for the levy of taxes, and so on and so forth.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Any questions regarding the budget?
Madam Chair, just a quick note, I've provided you a copy of the official amended document based on your most recent discussions in the event you need to review anything and bring up at a later date.
Okay.
I'll provide a copy to Ms. Smith as well.
All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Ordinance 2017-02, an ordinance to establish the budget for the school district of Oconee County.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion on SDOC's budget?
Do we have anybody here to represent the education department?
No, but if you'd rather, we can discuss your issues, and I could send them an email. I sent them an email with some concerns I had today as well. You want to bring it up, or?
Down the road, they're looking at I think a $4 million deficit down the road 3 or 4 years from now. Is that true?
I don't have their, future forecast analysis in front of me at this point in time. I know that in the past, they have presented to county council that they do have some concerns with the future and the deficits that they will have. They recognize, and again, I hope I'm not speaking out of turn, but they have said this, they recognize they've been spending into their fund balance over the last few years as a result of that. So I do know that they have some concerns about a growing deficit issue in the future and have some recognition of it and plan to hopefully remediate a large portion of that. So,
Madam Chair,
Yes.
Mr. Mueller, shouldn't the school districts be rethinking their allocation of funds with their upcoming dilemma on this state retirement thing?
luckily, have been given a 1-year kind of stay to rethink how the retirement's going to impact us. With the State House's approval to pay 1% of those monies directly to the retirement system on our behalf. Therefore, we only have to come up with really half of what we originally thought we were going to. It will impact them the same way. Therefore, the impact is not as great this year as originally thought. But we all are having to rethink what the impacts are going to be on the increase going forward. So yes, sir, and I know that's on their mind. I talked with Dr. Thorson and Gloria about it. I don't know if they have any answers as of tonight, but I know it's something they're looking at.
Well, what I'm getting from my people in my district is they keep saying they have 2 piles of money. One is for buildings and one is for operations. And this is not sitting well with the people of District Two. They say, well, it's all the same money.
Well, and their two pots of money isn't necessarily their choice, okay? That's dictated by
Well,
state law.
you know, I work for the people, so the people are asking me these questions, what's going on here?
I'll be glad to explain it. The building money they're referring to is their debt millage, and how they build their capital projects is they issue debt millage within the state allocated 8% of the assessed value that they're provided. And that's how they continue with their capital projects. Debt millage isn't, you can't take those monies and put it into the general fund and use it for operation purpose. So there is dictation in the state law that those types of funds are separated. Now, with that being said, your debt millage could be reduced and your operational millage could be increased, similar to what county council has done over the last year, is we've taken our debt millage from 6 to 3.2, and we've increased the general fund to help ease some of the concerns over there, plus Tri-County Tech, we put 0.9 mils there in order to assist with the Pendleton campus payment. So those can be adjusted, but debt millage monies generated cannot be used for operating, so those are two pots of money.
Well, that's what I'm saying, they need to look down the road and rethink the big picture on the horizon, because sooner or later, we're going to have to pay this state retirement thing because of the bad investments.
We're paying this year half of it, next year we'll pay the full amount, so you're right, it's right around the corner.
Yeah, so it's like you got a car, you want to go to the grocery store, you put all the money in the gas, you ain't got no money for groceries, you got to allocate which way you're going to go. And I've been getting a bunch of phone calls about this, and
Yes,
they
sir.
say, well, you know, what are you building a new building somewhere? And the only smart answer I got for them, but they used all the smarts out of that building, they gotta build another building. That's the only answer I could give them. I don't have a logical answer. When you're dealing with somebody that's retired and they're raising Cain with you on the phone, you know,
What I would, ask Madam Chair, that's certainly a concern or question that, could be presented with the rest of them by email if.
Yeah, I'll send them a letter.
When we did have those people here representing that, did they not say that they was giving a increase, giving their people a raise so they wouldn't reflect the extra money was taken out for their retirement? Is that not what they said?
I don't recall exactly. It's my understanding that there are no raises being given except those
Oh,
step increases as
1% cost of
required.
living increase. They're getting a 1%
For everybody?
for
Okay.
everybody across the board. Yeah,
I stand corrected.
yeah.
Well,
We can
Well, I-
invite them over
well,
if you want to.
that's my concern. When has the county employees got a raise?
2015, I believe, was the year we did the $1,200. I know we
yeah.
did not do one this fiscal year or last fiscal year, so it's been a couple of years. I think fiscal
It
year
was
15
15,
was the last.
16, because it was the first year I was on council.
Fiscal year 16?
15's, when I started in 2015, that's when we approved that raise.
Okay, so that would be the fiscal year 16.
16 and
budget
17,
then.
okay.
So that'd be 2 years ago, given this budget coming up. And is that the year we did the 1,200?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah. And that was across the board.
yes, ma'am.
And there is a work session, I was just looking on their agenda to see when the next school district board, they had a work session scheduled for June 12th. So if you're interested in attending that, I'm sure they would be able to flood you with your,
They may not want me there.
but it would be, I would think that they always have welcomed council there for any questions and concerns, so.
But we can
But,
also ask them to join us for the
Correct.
public hearing.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
They
And they
can-
generally have representatives here for the
For the public hearing,
Yep.
and the public hearing is next week.
next week, and then another one on the June 20th.
Yeah, so
Yep.
I'll make sure they send somebody.
Okay.
Okay, so, any other discussion on 2017-02? Okay, so then, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. I didn't hear everybody. Okay, ordinance 2017-03, an ordinance to provide for the levy of taxes for the Keowee Fire Special Tax District.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous. First reading of ordinance 2017-09, an ordinance amending Chapter 32 of the Oconee County Code of Ordinances in certain limited regards and particulars pertaining to sign control only and other materials related thereto.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, ma'am. I'd like to have Greg come up here and explain this to us.
Madam Chair, members of council, I'm Gregory Gordos. I'm the senior planner with the Planning and Zoning Division. I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
What have we changed about this?
Broadly, I would say the two changes are refining the definition of what a billboard is in that chapter to more accurately reflect what is commonly considered a billboard, something that's advertising off-premise, you know, your typical 450 square foot larger sign advertising for a different location rather than what you would commonly consider an on-premise commercial sign, something that's advertising for that particular site. The way it's defined now in Planning and Zoning's mind, as well as with Mr. Roots, is that it's a pretty broad definition of billboard right now. We'd like to clean that up so that that difference is made. And then the second notable change in what's proposed to you, I would say, is the idea of having a square footage limit for a sign. In this case, it would be 75 square feet. Right now, we have a billboard or sign essentially ranges from 50 to 672 square feet. Anything under 50 is not permitted, but that's a pretty large range for signs and billboards. They're both under that range of square footage. And this would propose a maximum size, regardless of on a 2-lane road or a 4-lane road, a 75 square foot limit for signs.
What does the state let us do?
The state, well, that's up to the locality in this case. There is Highway 11 to where what's commonly considered a billboard, their definition rather than ours, is permitted on Highway 11, but otherwise that's up to the locality, Oconee County, to determine what the size limits are.
We have no right to regulate on state roads, though, within the state right of way. We were superseding state law then.
I believe that other,
You're correct, and that's what I think Mr. Gordos is saying is the state regulates their right-of-way, but has no authority or regulations off of that right-of-way to dictate what a sign can and can't be. So they don't even have regulations, regarding signs unless it's in the right-of-way. In common practices, they don't allow generally signs to be installed within their right-of-way unless a permit is required.
correct, and that's why that on-premise, off-premise differentiation is important here.
I understand that you can get, from your own property, get a permit from the state to put a sign up, is that correct?
I wouldn't know. I just deal with the permits that come through our
Well,
office.
believe me, you do, because I got one.
So you can't, well, Mr. Hart's saying, if he's got a permit from the state, you can't regulate state law. If state gives you a permit, you cannot supersede state law.
Madam Chair, if I could,
Yeah,
just to
can
jump
you
in.
chime in here?
You're right, absolutely right. To the extent that state law has preempted or taken over an area where it says local jurisdictions, either by state law specifically or by an action, cannot legislate by our ordinances, then we can. But to the extent that we can, this ordinance, this sign ordinance, has been in place for some time, covers those areas of county authority, and the only real change that was made, this is a reactive kind of change, is because the way that signs and billboards were defined, anytime someone wanted to come and put a business sign up in front of their building, Mr. Gordos ran into the problem that it said it had to be 1,300 feet away from another billboard or sign because the definitions were so broad. So someone would have a problem putting the sign up if there's another sign already in place for another business right next door, because there's just an ambiguity written into the ordinance. So the Planning Commission just cleaned that up. So we have, when we truly think about as billboards, being off premises, talking about wherever, go to this place and shop here, and that has a no limitation up to 672 feet. And then you have your regular signs, which can be less than 1,300 feet, that you can have one parcel by parcel by parcel, and those have the 75 square foot limit. So it's just really bringing more of a common sense definition to what a sign is versus a billboard, which this ordinance didn't have before.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, ordinance 2017-14, an ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of a contract for the design, construction, and operation of the Oconee County Workforce Development Center, and further authorizing the transfer of the land upon which the Oconee County Workforce Development Center will be located and other matters related thereto.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? No comments? All in favor? Aye. Unanimous. Ordinance 2017-16. An ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of a real property lease agreement between Oconee County as lessor and the Fair Oak Youth Center Incorporated as lessee and other matters related thereto. This ordinance is in title only.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
First and final reading for the following resolution, Resolution 2017-07, a resolution establishing the Oconee County Recreation Review Task Force.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, Madam Chair, if I may.
Sure.
I was requesting a recreation review task force so we would have a broad decision-making to talk about recreation and the future of recreation in Oconee County within our cities and outside, not only for our youth, but all the way up into our senior citizens. There hadn't been a lot of emphasis placed on recreation, so I wanted to see a group come together that could talk about the needs and get a lot of our citizens' input moving forward, which is the reason why I asked for that. And as we begin building this task force, it will have a lot of people across the county. These will be open meetings that people can come in and talk about their needs from a, whether it's a, four-year-old, a group of parents of a 4-year-old, or somebody that's, 85 years old and our pickleballers, all those guys coming together to talk about what we can do for recreation in Oconee County and really get serious about, recreation and what it can mean for our lifestyles in Oconee County. I appreciate Mr. Root's work in that, and I appreciate council reading this tonight.
Are we going to appoint people, or how is this going to be put together?
Yes, what it would mean, I was requesting to be appointed from the council perspective over this recreation review task force, and in tune would allow the ones that provide recreation within our cities to appoint 2 members of those of their areas to help with this, since they deal with it on a daily basis. And then we would also have some additional people that deal with it on a tourism level within the county that will be part of this as well. And again, these will be open meetings, and the public will be more than welcome to attend in this process. Mr. Reed, if you will.
Madam Chair, just because I've drafted and talked to Mr. Davis about the kind of membership structure, by this ordinance, Mr. Davis will be appointed as the chair. If he can't or won't serve as the chair, then y'all would appoint his successor. Then he goes about the business of corralling a group of folks that are representative throughout the county of the different areas of recreation, youth, and adult. He'd bring that group back to y'all for approval. So then once y'all approve that group, then that's the task force. And then they set their rules, they have their meetings consistent with the Freedom of Information Act, et cetera. And they would report back to the council at 2 intervals, once in the fall, in October, and then once just prior to the next budget.
Any other questions or discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Resolution 2017-08, a resolution authorizing the execution and delivery of a supplemental agreement amending lease number DACW 21-1-14-2011 between Oconee County and the United States of America, and also authorizing the execution and delivery of lease number DACW 21-1-17-0022. A new lease between Oconee County and the United States of America, all in relation to the Seneca Creek Boat Ramp Access Area.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, Madam Chair. Scott, will you kind of touch on this just a little bit about what all this is entail? I know a good bit about it, but I just wanted to.
Yes, sir. This is basically an amendment to an existing lease and a renewal of term of that particular lease for the Seneca Creek Boat Landing. This is not unlike the other boat landings the Corps owns on Lake Hartwell that we lease from them. So we have a number of lease agreements with the Corps of Engineers for other boat landings. This is actually adding some additional acreage as well, if I remember correctly, to that particular lease that will allow for future expansion plans that have been discussed and in the works to add additional parking, additional boat ramp space, boat launching space, and kind of expand the services there, if you will. That's kind of the overall general. If there's any specifics you may have, I know Mr. Shirley's here with regard to any future plans or what they're doing with it. He'd be glad to answer those, I'm sure.
Mr. Shirley, if you come forward. Do you know when the last time that area was upright? I know it was extended out into Hartwell at a specific period of time, and it seems to be in pretty good shape. I just didn't know kind of what we were facing from a county perspective on,
The last time the ramp was out of water?
because it was extended a number of years ago, right? And it's pretty,
No, Seneca Creek is actually one of the ramps that is one of the first ones to go unusable
okay.
as the water goes down.
Okay,
This lease will get us out of a 10-year lease, which is a regular lease with the Corps of Engineers, into a 25-year lease, which will allow us to go after some grants and additional money to do some things that we want to do there. We need adequate access to Lake Hartwell for fishing tournaments and things like that. The new athletic parking across the street is a prime partnership between us and the university. And if we'll do some deepening of that ramp, and we've got a conceptual plan put together, but in order for us to go after some additional funding, you need more than a 10-year lease as part of your plan. So this is a request to increase that to a 25-year lease.
okay. That's all I had, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. Okay, all in favor of Resolution 2017-08? All opposed? Resolution 2017-09, a resolution expressing intent to cease county maintenance on and to authorize county consent to judicial abandonment and closure of a portion of Linehart Road and Oconee County Public Road and other matters related thereto.
Make a motion.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
One
Aye.
second.
Nope,
No.
sorry.
I just had is there anybody that lives on that road?
Yes, sir. Actually, there are people that live on that road, but where it's being abandoned, there are no residents in that
Okay.
particular section. All of the residents that live on that road have been communicated with and contacted personally
Okay.
about their interest in having it remain open and/or closed, all of which supported the closing of it. Now, obviously, this is only the second or third step in the process. There's still a court proceeding that would take place in order to abandon that particular road, and those residents would still be afforded contact and opportunity to speak, giving their opinion to the court as well, whether or not they support the closure or not. So it's not
Okay.
completely finished, but at this point, they're all in full support. It will be closed at the end near Sharp Manufacturing, and then a cul-de-sac will be put in. As a matter of fact, the residents are excited because now it gets used as a cut-through with a lot of speeders, and there's children who play on that road or near that road. So this will help eliminate a lot of that traffic, unsafe traffic that they experience.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to make sure we had that noted on. Appreciate y'all's work on that. So I think that'll be a great, I know they're excited about it too. I just want to make sure we got a little props to our road crew on that and help from, thank you for what you're doing on that.
All right, well, the vote stands. Discussion regarding action items, state and local ATAX Mountain Lake CVB FY 2018.
Did we
This-
vote on that? Okay. Just to note, I did vote in favor of that.
And I was
I
in
didn't-
favor of that as well. I just
Yeah, I
wanted to.
didn't.
Yeah, we just didn't know if you'd finished whenever you had stopped.
Yeah, I finished what I had stopped. That was,
Okay.
He was getting his second breath.
All right, so we had a unanimous.
Okay, can we move on to state and local ATAX? This request was unanimously approved by the PRT Commission on May 11, 2017, estimated that $125,000 will come from 65% state ATAX fund and $27,000 will come from local ATAX fund. Exact amounts from each account will be determined upon receipt of the fourth quarter state ATAX check in August. Local ATAX balance is $161,908. State ATAX balance is $85,107. You have in front of you the list of projects that the funds are going to. Do we have a motion to approve?
so moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I'm fine with all of these. I just am curious on the Road Titans 300 cycling event. That just seems like 25,000 seems like an awful lot of money to be spending on a cycling event. And I just wanted to kind of go over the economic impact numbers of that, and just so the public knows and so we know where this money's going and what the economic impact really is of it.
Do you all have that analysis with you?
I'm
We-
trying to pull it up in my
It should have been.
Okay, it was in the
Got
backup
six
It should have
material.
been provided
Yes,
as part of your packet.
it was.
Yeah, this will be our fourth year hosting Road Titans 300. We had about 13 different countries and 14 different states last year that represented, came to Oconee County. They come for 3 days. These are elite cyclists that travel. They want to climb hills. Why they want to climb hills, I can't answer that question. But the money that we put forth, we pay $15,000 to bring the event here, and then we've got up to $10,000 that we use. We have to pay our sheriff's deputies. This is a nonstop riding event. In other words, every time you get to a stop sign or a red light or a turn, we have people there to make sure that is a continuous run. So we pay our deputies through our partnership with Sheriff Crenshaw, not only in Oconee, but in Pickens County, out of this fund to help make sure that that event is successful. So you've got the analysis in front of you. Unfortunately, last year, we can't control the weather. Hurricane Matthew was on that weekend, so you'll see a breakdown of what it actually was versus what it would have been with the total amount of people we had signed up. This is a growing event. We were hoping to get to 300 last year with the hurricane. Again, it knocked us back a little bit. We are on a year-by-year basis at this point to be able to say, is this growing to the point we want to continue to put money towards it? It's one of those events that has the potential to get to a point where bringing in hundreds of thousands of dollars for us at this level without changing the $15,000, $20,000 investment that we put into it.
Phil, when you say hundreds of thousands of dollars, is that an economic impact or is that in
That's
tax
correct.
dollars?
That's economic impact to our community, which is the measurement tool that we use for our events.
Right. It just, even if it brings in, I don't know, $200,000 in economic impact, to make back that $25,000 in tax dollars, we're gonna have, I mean, how are we gonna recoup that $25,000?
Well, this is money coming into your hotels, money coming into your campgrounds that's used for these tourism projects. Now, I don't have in front of me how long it would take you to recoup that amount of money coming back forward. We can certainly go back and look. But that money comes in for the purpose of trying to put it out there for future events coming back.
Okay, I'm just thinking, if it's, say you bring in $250,000, that means you're gonna have an effective tax rate of 10% on the $250,000 that's the total spend to recoup the $25,000. And, even if it's proper, or, sales tax, I mean, it's 6%, and we don't even get 100% of that.
Correct.
A lot of that goes to the state, and goes through their filter, and then we get a tiny little bit back. I'm just making sure that this is a big chunk of our A-tax money, because we don't get a whole lot of it, to spend it on one event, to not be able to recoup all that from that particular event is just concerning to me. I mean, if it is giving us the opportunity to build Oconee County's reputation as a road cycling destination,
That's
which
correct.
I think is a long-term thing. Maybe it's a loss leader for a temporary period of time, but I mean, at a certain time, we're gonna have to show that this is actually paying for itself in tax dollars. So, I mean, I'll vote for it, but hopefully this year we'll have more to show for it than, well, I think the estimate, if I remember, was like 88,000 in total spend from last year.
That's your actual because of the hurricane.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so-
without the hurricane, you're double that.
Right. Okay.
Mr.
Thank you.
Early, you can explain too, this event is actually a culmination of a recognition that Oconee County is a premier cycling area because we've got a number of national teams from across the world that come here to train. The German national cycling team actually comes here every year and trains because of the hills, because of the infrastructure we've got. So, one of the reasons why the Road Titans group wanted to come here is because it is nationally known, really worldwide known as a great place to come and cycle. So that is one of the reasons why the Road Titans event actually looked at us, is because of that reputation. So this is actually building on a reputation that we had already established due to those national teams coming here and actually training.
Okay. And so we're not measuring
It's
necessarily.
very
those
hard
type
to
of
measure
things.
this one event against your money coming back. I mean, you've got to look at the event as what are the other things that it brings into Oconee County. In addition to those teams, there's a number of other cycling events. There's a number of other cycling trails that are in the process of being built. So we are on the edge of becoming a cycling destination. And so our investment in this is really small when you look at the total outcome of what's about to happen.
Okay.
What does City of Seneca also invest in this as well? Do you know what their side is?
Yeah, City of Seneca usually puts in between $500 and $7,500. They usually feed the riders and provide a couple of venues for us at no cost.
One thing that I want to make sure, I was just kind of checking through their website and stuff, and I saw where under their sponsors, City of Seneca's pretty large right up there at the top, and our little beautiful logo does not appear anywhere on that sponsors, and I would like to see that on there.
Interesting, I'll
So,
check that out, because it
yeah,
should be.
I know that our our tourism logo, but not the county logo, does not appear on there, so I'd just love to see that on
We
there
can
too.
fix that.
So,
Madam Chair,
Yes.
Bill, I agree with Mr. Kane. $25,000 is a lot of money, and how many fishing tournaments, I don't fish, but how many fishing tournaments would that put on? And the fishing tournaments bring in all these people that spend a lot of money here.
It's a very comparable piece. It all depends on which fishing tournament you're talking about. We have fishing tournaments that we spend $1,000 on. We have fishing tournaments that we spend $50,000 on. So it's hard to measure just to say cycling versus fishing.
I know the fishing tournaments always make the local news, they even make the news in Columbia, what's going on
This
up here.
one's been on TV a couple of times.
Well,
we'll get you a bike, Wayne, we'll get you in it.
One thing those bicycles do is when you're trying to move motor freight, they create havoc.
They go faster than your truck goes.
That's why we need some more bike lanes
They
in
get
Oconee
in front of
County.
me, they will be pedaling faster than
Thank you, Phil.
Excuse me. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Engineering services for entrance roadway improvements for the Seneca Rail Park, Oconee Economic Alliance, amount $74,630.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion?
I have a question. Is this just for the engineering work?
Yes, sir. This is just for the engineering work to design and manage the project and the bidding process. So it's not just engineering, it's actually managing the project throughout the process as well.
In other words, we're gonna have to let a contract, or either we're gonna have to have our road department build this road, is that what you're telling me?
This one's actually proposed to have a contractor come in and pave this particular road.
Any other questions? Glenn, you good?
Yeah, that's fine.
Anybody else? Okay. All in favor of the engineering services?
Aye.
Aye. Nimble storage array for the IT department in the amount of $182,616.
Motion to approve.
Second,
Any discussion?
yes. Is this gonna make us capable of being able to offer more services with the internet for our taxpayers to get different informations on their taxes, automobiles, deeds, plats, all that? Is it gonna make us to where we have better access to this?
The simple answer is yes. You know, IT stuff is never simple on its face or it's simple on its face, but when you get behind it. The Nimble Storage array is basically a system of pieces of equipment that manage your data that you have in your computers and across your network. The issues we're having now are a couple. Number one, the equipment is outdated and the software that manages that we pay a maintenance fee for is outdated. And it slows down your entire network system to access that data. So while it won't expand our capabilities to do this where we couldn't do before, it now provides you the speed and storage capability to make sure you can do it right. For example, Register of Deeds. When you ought to know, in the past, when you tried to go on Register of Deeds and look up something, it was slow as Christmas and very difficult to manage through the step-by-step process. This will actually provide us the capability of speeding up those services as well as others. We have 100 virtual machines that we have purchased over the last 5 years when we moved to a virtual machine. A virtual machine is basically a computer that does not have a hardware desktop sitting with it. The computer is run as a segment of a server in your server room, which saves you $800 worth of hardware equipment that sits at a desk for no reason. So what we've done is we went through and we analyzed all of our computer users and said, okay, which one of you are high output users and which one of you are not? Those people who are not real high output users and high power users of their computer, say as I would be, they go through and we've moved them to virtual machines, which means all they have is a monitor and a network connection, basically. And their computer is actually part of a server where you have a bunch of other computers running off of it. So what this does is the virtual machines are relying on this equipment that's behind the scenes to run their computer. This Nimble Array storage will speed that process up and make it smoother and cleaner for all those virtual machines, which allows us to expand the number of virtual machines that we're using to save on expensive equipment purchases. Not everybody needs a desktop sitting at their desk that we paid, $800-900 for. So we can actually add computer users without adding dollars by expanding our virtual machine capability. Okay, so basically, the cost that we're paying for now is right under $40,000 just for the maintenance agreement on the existing system we have, which is 6-7 years old. In the backroom data world, 6 or 7 years is like 20 to 25 years for other pieces of equipment. It's just changing so fast. So it's about time that we look at new ones. These new ones, the agreement on it is actually the same amount that we're currently paying for it, and you get all the upgrades as it goes along. Right now, if they upgrade their system under the old maintenance agreement, we don't get it. We're stuck. This one includes that upgrade, so it's more of a service rather than a purchase of equipment, if you will. So to answer your question, simply, yes, it'll give us more capability, but it'll just make what we do better, if you will, from a technology standpoint, and give IT a more stable base to work with to expand virtual machines and put online technology services like the auditor has done and make it go smoothly. Now, that was me, Mr. John Michael Cox, who knows all of the stuff about it. He can step up and say, that guy's crazy, let me tell you what it really does. Or he can just sit back there and say, man, he did a fine job. So,
He did do a great job. Is there anything else you guys need to know about it?
The one question that I have, Madam Chair, if I may, so the one, approve the purchase of the storage is $182,616. The second part of this is a 5-year capital lease agreement for $40,006.
No, that 180,000 is the
Okay.
5-year
I
payment.
just wanted to make sure
Yes.
that was,
No, it's
okay,
not 182
All right.
plus the annual payment.
Yeah.
The 182 is paid for over 5 years.
Okay.
Which is the same amount that we're currently paying over 5 years for an outdated system.
that was the next thing I wanted to bring up is based on, so that, the total of those payments is 203,145. Is that the interest and whatever else in that? Okay.
Zero, let's call it a few $1,000s impact to the budget, or what we're paying, but it's already budgeted for in what we have in the budget now. So it's a zero impact to the budget to be able to put this new service in place.
So the difference in between am I coming up right? 203,145 is 5 payments of 40?
Right. Yes.
And the difference between the 182 and the 203 is,
12,000. Or 22,000.
is that, but is 0% interest, is that what you were saying? Or is that interest? Is that the interest entailed in that? I was just trying to figure out where the 12,000 was
Yeah,
coming
that's
from.
gonna be interest associated with the lease payment over that 5 years.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, the actual purchase price is 182, the total payout is 203.
Okay.
And that's the interest amortized over that 5-year period.
Okay.
We gotta pay interest on it.
Yes, sir.
I got a question.
Unless we wanna pay cash for it.
We ain't got it.
No, sir. That's why, by working within the current budget we have for a zero base, we can provide that increased service.
I got a question for you. If I type in somebody's name and it pops up, deed book 850 at page 50, is it possible that y'all can you go in there and click that and it'll spit that deed up to you?
I have to look at their server, how it's set up. I think you can do that on some of them.
I'd like to see it do that.
Okay.
You'll have to look at Cott's system for
Yeah,
that.
we'll have to look into their server,
Okay.
but I think it is possible.
Any other questions? Thank you. Okay, so back to the nimble storage array for 182,616. All in favor? Aye. Use portable recycling plant, Department of Solid Waste Roads Quarry, for the amount of $146,000.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion?
Scott, can you bring up a little bit about the rental system that we have right now versus the purchasing of what we're kind of looking at?
Absolutely. Just to give some background for those people who don't know, this is a recycling plant, if you will. Not unlike some of the rock crushing equipment that we have out of the rock quarry. But the purchase of this particular recycling equipment is for the recycling of construction and demolition material that would normally go into our landfill. So this is really part of our increased recycling efforts that we discuss all the time. What this piece of equipment will do is it's going to take concrete, block, brick, asphalt, any of those type of hardened materials, and actually crush it down and make it into a so-called commodity, a usable product. For example, we've already started processing concrete that we normally would have put into our landfill and used up that airspace, and we've actually crushed it up and put it on the roads at the landfill instead of using rock from the rock quarry that we would have had to have taken away from a buying customer, a paying customer, if you will. So the brick can be processed and used for other external features. The block can be. So this is actually a way not only to save landfill space and continue with our recycling efforts for the environment, as well as our cost avoidance for the future, but it's also going to be producing a commodity product that can be reused in another application to save money elsewhere or possibly sell the product. Again, I'm a bird's eye kind of guy. Mr. Martin is here. He can go over any more detailed information. Yeah, I know you like him. You want to come up there. Any detailed information about how it works in the process. But this is a product that we normally have to rent one of these types of machines to process asphalt spoil piles, if you will. When we tear up a road or tear up asphalt or have some come in, we pile it up, and every so often, once a year, we have to rent a machine to come in and do this very same thing, and it's about $30,000 a month, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
It's about $30,000 a month just to rent one of these things that we're required to do by our DHEC permit to actually use that Camp Road facility. So instead of paying $30,000 a month over the next few years, we have an opportunity to look at purchasing this used machine that we can actually use for not only our asphalt spoils and satisfying DHEC, but now we can save it from our landfill. For example, the Clemson House, guess where that's coming when it's torn down, if you haven't heard that? That's coming to our landfill. That's a lot of material to get deposited in the earth that's gonna take up landfill space and airspace. We're gonna process that now through this recycling plant and hopefully pay for it just by processing that Clemson House.
Madam Chair, if I may, or do we have the ability with this to rent or help? You know, Seneca used one for quite some time. I know Westminster's used one. How is that gonna work out with a partnership with them to ensure that last thing you want is to buy a piece of equipment like this and then them to be going down? I mean, I know.
Here's the deal, that machine is portable. That machine can be loaded up and moved to another location. It ain't easy, okay? You can't just pull it up, a truck back up to it, hook it up to a trailer hitch and go, but it can be relocated. For example, let's talk about the Utica Mill location and any structures over there that need to be torn down, or, you know, Clemson, if they have a small facility and they want us to partner with them. Seneca had that area they had to clean up. Guess what? We could have put that sucker on a big boy trailer, taken some time, towed it over there and processed the material for them for a fee, more than likely. We gotta pay for this thing.
Agree.
But yes, we could actually move it, if I'm correct, Mr. Martin?
Yes, sir, you're correct.
To another location and process it.
Send it down to the house.
We can work out a deal. There you go.
I'm saying this, I mean, the goal of this is to continue to use it and be a, you know, asset, which is why I'm in agreement. You know, you look at these machines, you're like, God, do we really do that much? But I know what's on the horizon. Some of the stuff that I've looked at on the dilapidated structure side of things, most of them are made of brick. It's some one of those things moving forward in it and hauling it to a centralized location. So I'm in agreement to a need for something like this because of what we're trying to do. Now, the second question I had, so from an assortment, oftentimes when people tear stuff down, it all gets mixed together and it's all, are we going to have to work with our, you know, our demolition experts to say, hey, let's do our best to kind of sort through what's brick, what's wood, or?
Typically, if you have a large project like the Clemson House project is gonna be, they'll contact us and ask how we would like to receive the product. We're gonna request that they be separated, segregated when they bring them in.
To the
Okay.
best of
To the
their,
best of their ability. If it's a cinder block house with a concrete pad and a brick wall out front that's, you know, 1,200 square feet, they're gonna bring it in mixed. We'll have equipment out there that we can actually separate it before we put it into the machine. The machine does not necessarily have to be completely separated. You can put a number of block in with concrete and it's gonna process it all. The problem you'll have is you may contaminate your end product for whatever you're using it for. I mean, we can use this product on our own roads to save us from having to pay for rock. We can use it in asphalt materials when we process the asphalt. The brick can be crushed up and used for landscaping purposes, patios, sidewalks, if you can get enough screening into it in the future to process it down into a finer product. You know, this could be a permanent mulching product that we can start selling rather than something you have to replace twice a year.
does it, the issue with rebar and concrete
There's a
with this?
magnet that goes through that thing, so
okay.
as it crushes, there's a rotating magnet belt that basically picks up the metal out of that material and drops it off on the side. Now, guess what? Now you've got a recyclable product you can add to your metal pile too.
That's all I have, thank you.
Great job, Rick.
You're doing a fine job. I'm enjoying it.
I have one for Rick. I guess it was several months ago that we were looking at this same, I don't know, is this the same machine that we were looking at
Yes, sir.
before?
This was actually one of the same machines we looked at before. We've actually had it for a little over a month now. We created an agreement to lease it, to try it out, and then anything we paid in lease would come off of the purchase price that we settled on. So we've actually been processing material for over 30 days now with this particular machine. So yes, so this is the one that I had notified you guys on.
Okay, that
Good job,
was my
Rick.
question.
Taught you well. You're a good student.
This
Yes,
same, same thing like D.H. Griffith uses.
Yes, sir. Sure is.
They don't, because those things are, they don't have very many maintenance problems at all with theirs.
Now, this has got a little age on it. We understand that when we bought it.
But right now, it's done a fine job. You're more than welcome to go to the landfill and look at it at any time. We don't run it every day, but we have run it
We got 3 axles under the back,
2.
2.
Yes, sir. It's a 120, 130,000 pound machine, if I'm not
You put
mistaken.
with a standard kingpin.
Yes, sir. No, sir. You have to walk up on a trailer.
Oh, you gotta walk it.
You gotta walk, it is on tracks. That way it can be moved anywhere. Once it gets set on a piece of property, we can move it from location to location. That way we can move with the
And
piles.
You move it on 2 axle? 2 axle.
The machine itself is on tracks.
Yeah, but, the
You'd
trailer you
ha-
put it on it.
Yeah, you'd have to have 2 or 3 axles, yes, sir.
2 or 3.
How many tons?
That would be 65, 70 tons. That's a big machine.
Machine?
Yes, sir.
It weighs as much as moss.
Yes, it does.
Okay. Thank you, Rick.
Thank you, Rick.
Any other comments, questions? Okay, all in favor of the used portable recycling plant? Aye. Unanimous. Used dive team vehicle, Department Emergency Services, amount $60,000.
Yeah, Wayne, we're waiting on you. It's got dive in it.
I want to talk to Charlie.
You gotta make,
We need a motion to,
I'll make a motion.
thank you.
Second.
Seconded. Okay, any discussion? Now,
Mr. King, go ahead and just come on up before they even start.
Meet your department head night at Oconee County Council.
Good evening. Hey, Charlie. Tell me about it for 6,000.
It is a used rescue vehicle that came out of Kingsport, Tennessee. I think the backup material shows we compared it to a new vehicle that came off state contract as well, as well as 2 others that were available used. And this one came with both a cascade system already installed to refill dive cylinders on the scene, diesel engine, low mileage, 4-wheel drive, and in addition to the van that we have now that just is able to carry equipment, this one's able to carry equipment and to serve as a tow vehicle for boats as well.
So this will go where the van wouldn't go anyway.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And again, the van had a small gasoline engine in it, this one being a diesel and a short wheelbase. But we've, again, this vehicle's been at Motor Pool for a week and a half now, and we've had the ability to trailer boats and move it, and it's a short wheelbase that allows us to get in and out of a boat ramp where the larger van that we have now wouldn't do.
Okay, so this will replace that van.
Yes, sir.
We got 2, before you got here, we got 2 cleaners on that van anyway.
That's correct. The early 90s model looks like just a Penske or U-Haul moving van is what it'll replace with a purpose-built vehicle.
And we got it from state surplus, and they stuck it to us good.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, Charlie.
Thank you for your support.
any other questions? Okay, all in favor of the used dive team vehicle?
Aye.
Aye. Board and commission appointments. We still have openings on Building Codes Appeal Board.
With all those people up here earlier today, we couldn't find anybody.
well, we're just saying, take,
While you're having trouble, I got 4 volunteers in just a few minutes.
I know.
But
We'll
you
get
was
that.
looking for 5.
Oh, that's a point taken.
What did they volunteer for? Are you sure it wasn't the Building Codes Appeal Board?
Well, they don't know that yet.
Are we still holding? on
yeah,
this?
I was just kinda hanging out until I knew kinda which way we're headed, and then that way I could.
Okay. All right. Any unfinished business? New business? No council committee reports today? We do need to recess to executive session to receive legal advice and discuss contractual matters related to the proposed consultant agreement for services between Oconee County and RCI of South Carolina.
Make a motion.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, let's recess.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We need a motion to amend the agenda?
Second.
Well,
Oh, wait a
Madam
minute.
Chair, motion to amend the agenda to remove the decision for the inspection services for RCI.
Second.
Any discussion?
Did you want to clear that up, Mr. Reed? Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.